Save us. Save us. Save us. Save nature.
I work for the 8-Star2 project with Management Sciences for Health in the United States, and I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for joining us. I think as you are logging onto the webinar, those of you especially who logged on earlier than 9 o'clock our time, you are seeing some quotes both about the social service workforce and the alliance, the Global Social Service Workforce Alliance that we are launching today, from some of our many supporters. It's gratifying to know that many people have been engaged with and are behind this really important initiative that we are going to talk about today. Just by way of very quick contextual background, in the last 18 months or so, many of you have joined one or more of the past 9 webinars we have held in this series on the social service workforce. These webinars have been funded by PEPFAR and implemented under the auspices of the Global Social Service Workforce Alliance through the Capacity Plus mechanism funded by USAID. And these webinars began as a result of recommendations that came from the participants of the Social Service Workforce Strengthening Conference, a major conference that was held in Cape Town in 2010. And the same group, and we had teams coming from I think 15 to 18 countries, that proposed the idea of this alliance. And since that time, a lot of effort and commitment has gone into the establishment of a strong foundation for this alliance. And today we are really pleased that we are able to launch this new network that aims to promote the knowledge and evidence as well as resources and tools, and really begin to engender some political will and action that are needed to address key social service workforce challenges, especially within low to middle income countries, so that we can begin to realize the establishment of a workforce that can effectively deliver promising practices that improve the lives of vulnerable populations, especially children and communities in difficult circumstances. I'll just move very quickly to our agenda for today. We'll be talking about the importance of the social service workforce and providing a bit of background for those of you who may be actually newer to the topic. And my colleague Amy Bass, who is the coordinator of the Alliance, will then provide us some information about the Alliance itself, some of the history, and also talk about some ways that you can join this network and share the work that you are doing, and also in the process learn from others. And today also marks the official launch of the Alliance website. And Amy will be walking us through the site and helping us to figure out how to register and become a member of the Alliance, because we want all of you to become members. And obviously we'll have time for your questions and some discussion or any comments that you may have. And my colleague Jim McCaffrey with the Capacity Plus project will moderate that session for us. And I'll come back towards the end and wrap up with some closing remarks. So that's our agenda for today, and it will take us an hour or less. Let me begin now by talking about the social service workforce itself, just to give you some background. I think we all recognize that social service workers help to create protective environments to enhance the healthy development and well-being of children, communities by tackling poverty, reducing discrimination, promoting social justice, and providing a wide range of needed services to care for and support those who need it most. And quite frankly, this could be really any of us at any point in our lives when unexpected situations occur. For example, when you need support for your disabled child, or access to income support or grants for your family, or if you are looking for support around hospice care for a family member, or assistance with developing or accessing appropriate childcare or parenting tips as well, and advice and support for your child to appear in court. And sometimes you might just be looking for somebody to help you advocate for laws, policies, programs to promote family well-being. In all these and many other situations, the social service workforce will be there. In other circumstances, families that have been displaced because of war or natural disaster will need the support of a social worker or somebody who is from this workforce to help prevent and respond to trafficking and exploitation, help reunite separated and accompanied children with their families, and where necessary, place them in alternative care as needed. Sometimes they help to coordinate shelter, access to education and healthcare services, and they also provide critical psychosocial support and promote the resilience of children and families. These are all really critical, vital safety nets that children and families made vulnerable, let's say, by HIV/AIDS and other challenging circumstances require. And you need a workforce to be able to provide all these services. But who is the social service workforce? Who are we exactly talking about? I think it's fair to assume or sort of say that the social service workforce is dynamic and specific to context. And the people who carry out this work every day in many countries have a variety of titles, functions, and they operate in many different workplace settings across and within countries. However, a general way to capture the composition of the workforce is that it comprises all levels and types of people. Some of them are paid, others are not paid. They work in the public and non-governmental sectors on behalf of vulnerable children and families. That's what really binds them together. And while this workforce is grounded in core social work principles, it doesn't just include social workers alone. It includes other professional and volunteer cadres, and this is really important. And they work in, as I said, in a wide range of sectors, including civil society, government, and community. So you have professional and professional frontline workers. You have child protection officers, child and youth care workers, supervisors and managers, program planners, local and national level advocates, policymakers and educators. So you have a galaxy of actors all working together in order to improve the lives and conditions of people who are in difficult circumstances. But it's also important to recognize allied workers who are professionals, paraprofessionals, and volunteers involved in other sectors such as education, health, or justice. And these allied professionals also contribute to the care, support, promotion of rights, and empowerment of vulnerable populations. As such, when you have such a complex workforce, which is very dynamic, very contextual, you need it to be well planned, to be well trained, and well supported. Because unless they are able to do that, they'll not be able to address the needs and enhance the resources of vulnerable children and families. But I think we also are aware that many challenges face this workforce. And I'll just go through a couple of them. I think the main challenge around defining the workforce or the social service workforce is a real one, due to its diversity this challenge can contribute to a lack of understanding and clarity about the unique and specialized skills and competencies that are required to effectively provide social services. And this challenge can in turn, I think, lead in many places to an underestimation or even misalignment of training needs, the way we do salary levels for the workforce, as well as support and supervision, and also it feeds into many of the other challenges faced by this sector. The other challenge that we are all familiar with is the one around limited financial resources that are available to fund workforce positions and program expenses. While a lot of support is going into this workforce, especially from the NGO and the donor community, as well as I think the public sector, I think in many countries you get a situation that there are limited financial resources to support this workforce, especially from government. And just to give you an example, no country in West Africa dedicates more than 1% of its budget to this workforce. And of course, without adequate public funds, social service worker training and regulations are often neglected, and the workforce tends to be overburdened with cases, leading to professional burnout as well as high turnover rates. The other challenge centers around training and education. And in many places, too few opportunities actually exist for quality training and education. And in communities, those who are employed or acting as volunteers have access to too few opportunities for quality training that they are able to apply in a contextually and culturally relevant way in their work setting. And in many cases, they may be isolated without adequate supervisory, technical, moral, and financial support, as well as a respected voice within their community. And in many places, some social work educators do not have a social work education and local practice experience. And training materials and issues around curriculum are often not context-specific. Certification issues also, as well as licensing or other forms of recognition for training that's been completed, in many cases is too fragmented to be actually meaningful. That challenge that I want to pinpoint is really the challenge around supportive work environments, or the lack of supportive work environments. I think, as we often hear, people carrying out this challenging and critical work tend to burn out quickly, given the nature of the work itself. And these workers need supportive supervision from highly trained staff with clear job descriptions, conducive work climate and environments, incentive packages for retention, and access to strong coordinating mechanisms for mutual support, and also to ensure that they are able to make referrals and professional development opportunities are available to them, and they are recognized for the achievements and the work that they do. But the road ahead, I mean, in spite of all these challenges that I have highlighted, I think the road ahead is promising, with many innovations and effective interventions that are currently taking place. In many countries, workforce mapping that's being costed is being carried out so that the countries are able to plan for the workforce in a way that's rational using data. And some countries have also established human resource information systems to better account for and also advocate for and also fund their workforce. Access to training opportunities are also increasing in many places, and largely through the professional associations as well as other mechanisms. And supervisors are also receiving training and support so that they can do their jobs better. And in many places, career ladders are being built so that there is support and recognition for this workforce. So with all these promising interventions and innovations that are going on, we hope that they will lead to higher quality services and also lead to the establishment or the realization of the motto for the Alliance, which is improved workforce, improved lives. I think the road ahead is very promising. I think it's we are really at a very critical threshold with this workforce idea. At this juncture, I would like to call upon my colleague Amy to highlight ways in which you can actually join the Alliance and participate, and hopefully we can take this movement forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Amoro. Earlier, Amaro highlighted the importance of the PEPFAR-funded Social Welfare Workforce Strengthening Conference held in Cape Town, South Africa in November 2010. As he said, over 150 stakeholders from 18 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and other regions attended the conference, which brought to light the many common challenges faced by those of us who are part of the social service workforce. The conference also explored promising interventions to address these challenges. Participants came together from government, universities and training institutions, UNICEF, NGOs, professional associations, and we're often talking together for the first time about ways that we could all work together on this common issue of strengthening the workforce. At the end of the conference, participants gave recommendations of how to move this issue forward and stressed the urgency and necessity of continuing the dialogue amongst these various stakeholders. They recommended that a platform for information sharing and advocacy be created. An interim steering committee was formed to advance this idea of developing a so-called alliance that would serve as this platform. Since that conference, so many people have come together to support the development of the alliance, whether by presenting or participating in webinars, being sounding boards throughout the development of the alliance vision and mission, and letting us know how a network like this can add value to your work. And most important, many of you continue to implement innovative practices that can be shared with others to advance the work that we're all doing. The result of these consultations and the work of the steering committee has been the development of the foundation of the alliance, the vision, mission, and approach, which we can now all build on as we move forward. The vision is that the Global Social Service Workforce Alliance will work toward a world where a well-planned, well-trained, and well-supported social service workforce effectively delivers promising practices that improve the lives of vulnerable populations. The mission is to promote the knowledge and evidence, resources and tools, and political will and action needed to address key social service workforce challenges, especially within low to middle-income countries. And we have a three-pronged approach to convene a diverse network for discourse and collective learning, advance knowledge, and advocate together. We'll talk about these three things a little bit more as we look at the various ways that you can take action as an Alliance member. But first, I just want to share with you the members of the Alliance Steering Committee. It's currently comprised of 10 members who have been hard at work developing plans for the Alliance governance policies and structures and membership guidelines and the website content and the logo design, as well as developing ideas for future projects depending on member interest. In thinking about who the future membership might be, this group identified the following criteria that might help those considering membership decide if it would add value to your work. An organization or individual interested in membership would meet the following criteria: to have an interest in supporting and promoting the aims and general principles of the Alliance, involvement in social service programs or initiatives, a commitment to interagency collaboration, and interest in initiatives such as knowledge generation and advocacy. We've also outlined on the website some responsibilities of members, such as participating in the network by sharing tools and reports and collaborating with other members through interest groups or other activities, which we'll be talking about a bit more. When you become a member, there'll be many opportunities to become involved in this new movement to strengthen the social service workforce. Specific benefits of becoming involved include opportunities to contribute to advancing knowledge. Many of you can become involved in sharing tools, resources, models, and best practices. So many of you are engaged in really exciting programs that people in other parts of the world need to know more about and can learn from. We encourage members to share their promising practices and hear what others are doing. Sharing what is going well can help us all succeed. There will also be opportunities to help develop technical briefs and tools and case studies, and also to read and contribute to e-updates and a resource database. The Alliance will be distributing monthly updates to members, and we'll highlight some of these innovative practices, as well as upcoming events that members are organizing and so on. The resource database compiles articles contributed by members and for members on issues specific to strengthening the social service workforce. Currently, it's challenging to find these articles in one place, so this database will help to fill that gap. Secondly, members will have the opportunity to network and connect with others. There'll be opportunities to continue to participate in webinars and Alliance-sponsored events and forums. We do plan to continue our popular webinar series, and we'll continue to work hard to make the topics relevant to your work. We want to hear more from members about potential topics and speakers. We've also heard that many of you are interested in a Cape Town 2.0 conference and hope to work with you all to make that a reality. There'll also be opportunities to participate in Alliance interest groups. Once members have joined and a core number have expressed interest in a common area, the steering committee will announce the development of an interest group, which is basically a group of members who are committed to a particular topic and interested in jointly developing specific Alliance activities or products that are intended to advance knowledge and discussion and solutions related to that topic. Again, this is based on the premise that this workforce can do much more together than alone, and there's a lot of energy and passion out there that can be harnessed by creating opportunities to connect with one another. For example, an organization working on developing indicators for workforce strengthening is interested in broad input from Alliance members, and we may form an interest group for those of you interested in monitoring and evaluation. And lastly, you'll have the opportunity to take leadership on governance bodies, such as the steering committee or chairing an interest group. We have designed the leadership so that each year a few new seats will be available on the steering committee, and at the turn of each year we'll accept nominations for those seats. A large role for a group like this is advocacy. It's an opportunity to amplify your voice by joining with others to raise awareness. Working together, we can raise the profile of this workforce and make a stronger case to and for governments and other funders to give this work a higher priority, particularly in terms of budget commitments. There'll be an opportunity to contribute to policy roundtables and advocate for policy changes based on sound evidence. The Alliance plans to be a resource for gathering evidence-based practices and then helping to create advocacy messages around that evidence. So in sum, these are the very many ways that people like you, members, can become involved in this work. One good way to unite a group that spans different continents is through a website. So this website will always be a work in progress, but will be the hub for our various activities. Information about the Alliance and the social service workforce was previously highlighted on the obcsupport.net site, and we'll continue to collaborate with them. This page, which is the home page, it may be so small here that it's a little bit hard to see, but it does show the entire home page, and the address, which isn't quite appearing on the side of our slide there, I apologize, but it is www.socialserviceworkforce.org, and you'll see it at the bottom of many of our slides. So I'll briefly walk us through a few sections of the site. Across the top is a tab to join the Alliance and also to log in once you've registered and have an account. In the menu across the top, you can read more here about the social service workforce and access resources such as a blog or the resource database, and you can also learn a bit more about membership. By clicking on Get Involved, you'll see the option to join interest groups, and these will be populated as we move forward and hear from members about groups that you're interested in. Under the About Us tab, you can read about the Alliance history, our funders, and link to information about the Cape Town Conference, such as the conference model for planning, developing, and supporting the workforce. The site includes these 4 boxes across the middle of the page. The first includes links to basic information about the workforce. This page includes the framework that was developed for the Cape Town Conference. The second, you can link to summaries and recordings of all of the past 9 webinars. This one, the third one, will connect you to the resource database, which will be specific to workforce strengthening, and which we hope you will contribute to by using a Suggest a Resource button that we've included on the inside pages that you'll see once you've joined and become a member. And the fourth is a button for joining the Alliance. And here at the bottom again is the website address. We hope that many of you will consider registering and becoming part of this network, as it really is a group of and for all of you to build and develop as time goes on. To do so, you can simply click on this membership tab, and it will take you to this page where you will see the register now at the very bottom, and you can click on this to see the registration page. The registration form will ask you about your areas of interest. And we ask you to really consider this, as we'll use this information provided by all of you to develop these interest groups and future projects and event ideas. So Amaro and I have covered a lot of information this morning or this evening, and we are open to taking any questions that you may have. And so I will now hand the mic over to Jim McCaffrey, who will be moderating our Q&A today. Jim?
Thank you, Amy. That was very, very helpful. And I am going to open it up for questions, but I did want to, I guess, point out that as you were giving your presentation, and as Amuro was talking about the opening, in the chat box there were informations being exchanged, which in fact reflected 2 of the 3 ways that you talked about people getting involved in the Alliance. So even though this was sort of an introduction to the Alliance and a time to get people to sign up, it was actually happening. So there was one theme talking about the role of volunteers, the importance of training, sharing of examples of education and training that is happening in several different countries. And in a many way, this is the kind of knowledge sharing that we say happening as part of the Alliance. And then secondly, under the second one you talked about, Amy talked about, was network and connecting. And I noticed that Charles Abbey in the chat window asked Jennifer Smyer-Dickey at the Baylor School of Social Work if his NGO in Ghana could also be included in the Global Leadership Program, and she responded with an email to learn more. And then there was also something posted around an invitation for the NACCW conference in South Africa. So these are examples of the kind of knowledge sharing and network and connecting that we see the Alliance promoting over the next number of years. So I'm going to open it up. I notice there's some questions, and Amy will take the lead in answering them, but we do have several steering committee members on that could also answer them. So we'll start with that first one. Is membership open to both organizations and individuals? Amy?
Yes, it is open to either. The registration form is constructed in a way that you can submit a membership either as an organization or as an individual. We do envision that it will be more individuals, and as we go along we'll have organizations that are partners and supporters of the work of the Alliance. But we imagine that it will be more of an individual membership organization.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question came in. Can you elaborate a bit more on the link with ovcsupport.net and why a separate alliance is being started? And the second question is whether the focus is still on the OVC workforce or broader.
Okay.
Yes, thanks for that question. ovcsupport.net has been a great resource center for some of this, for some of the articles and documents on social service workforce strengthening. We've also had our webinars summary and recordings posted there. This was basically a temporary site for us as we were developing the Alliance. And the ovcsupport.net did serve as a great site to house a lot of those documents, and it will continue to do that. I think the steering committee of the Alliance does envision the work being a bit broader than just the workforce that's working with orphans and vulnerable children. As Amaro mentioned, the workforce is quite diverse, encompasses quite an array of workers addressing a wide variety of issues. And although HIV and AIDS and children and families affected by HIV and AIDS is such a serious issue affecting so many communities, there are a range of other issues as well that this workforce addresses. And so the Alliance is a fairly large umbrella to encompass all of that work.
Thanks, Amy. Amuro, did I hear you? Were you going to give a response to that too?
No, I think Amishi she covered it well. I think this is not just focused on OVC or children made vulnerable by HIV and AIDS. I think we are talking about a workforce that basically ensures the welfare of a broad range of people within the community in terms of social protection and other household and community sort of economic strengthening initiatives, and facilitating access not just to health but education, legal services. So it's not just, the focus is not just OVC. Of course, I mean they are an important part of the work that the workforce does, but it's broader than that. So I just wanted to sort of elaborate that.
Thank you, Amuro. There was a question about how many schools of social work across the world are currently involved in the Alliance. So why don't we give that a shot? Amy?
Thanks. Well, today is our launch, so today is the time that we're opening the Alliance for new members to join. So we will see how many schools will join. But at the same time, we have been in conversation and dialogue with a very wide range of schools across the world, in Asia and Africa and the US and the UK, to get their input and feedback on how the Alliance can add value to the work that they're doing in different countries, to the learning of their students. And we've had a number of faculty from different countries be speakers on the webinars. So we hope that that will continue and that this becomes a platform for schools to share information with one another.
Thank you, Amy. We have some questions that really go to the heart of the question about what do we mean, how are we defining the workforce, and what does that mean in terms of the Alliance? So the questions came in around, is the Alliance working to ensure representation and inclusion of the less established workforces within the social service workforce? For example, child and youth care workers, community development workers. Another one was, REPSI, which is in South Africa, headquartered in South Africa, is supported distance learning students. These are community care workers. Where do they fit? What about the key role of volunteers? So those are real key and very important questions. And what I think I'd like to do, rather than putting Amy on the spot again, is maybe have Amuro. Could you take a crack at answering those and sort of amplifying that? I mean, the short answer is yes to all of those, but we'll give Amuro a chance to elaborate.
Thank you, Jim. I think that this is really an important question. And I think crafting a definition of the social service workforce is possibly a necessary first step to increasing its recognition amongst the people who are actually who care about this particular workforce. And although I mean a definition of the workforce itself, I mean I think should be expanded to include all the different actors who are active in this field: government, civil society, community, and all the people who provide interventions, programs, and benefits to ensure the welfare and protection of individuals and families who are disadvantaged. So we know that we have a range of providers and actors. Some of these are unpaid volunteers working in the informal system, and others are paid employees working either for government or NGOs in hospital settings, in schools, in prisons, in community centers, and other community programs. And I think the broader definition in terms of what we actually mean by the social service workforce and what the Alliance is all about really recognizes this diversity. And these are all very important social service contributions that these people make, whether they are volunteers or paid workers with different titles in different, different positions. So I think all of them are important. I think that's the really sort of bottom line answer that I can give here. And in many countries you have all these different titles. So you have the regular social workers, you have what's referred to as para-social workers, you have community counselors, you have child and youth care workers, like in South Africa and other places. You have community development workers, you have parole officers, and so forth. It's just a broad range, just a galaxy of actors who are working in this field, because it's a complex social, service system that we are looking at. And I think the way we approach or understand the social service workforce really takes into consideration this diversity and complexity. And the work that's being done by this workforce, to support all these different populations is what we really care about. I think we are looking at everybody who works in this field, irrespective of titles and the work that they do.
Thank you, Muru. So a broad definition, and we want to make sure we have a broad focus to be inclusive, given the importance of all the different elements providing needed services. A couple of other questions. One is about accreditation of training is important to ensure importance, and has the Alliance thought about some kind of accreditation? I can answer that quickly. We haven't yet, as this is just the launch. We've certainly discussed it, but that will and could be, depending on members' interest, a very important part as we go forward. So we're certainly interested in considering not only accreditation, but other ways to ensure quality. That might be something that becomes a special interest group. Let me move it on to the next one from Florence from the Better Care Network. The initial focus of the network has been on Sub-Saharan Africa as a global alliance. How is this network going to grow to outreach to other regions where the social service workforce is also being strengthened or developed? Very good question, and I think Amy has a good answer for that.
I hope I do. Thank you. Well, we all, everyone who's been involved so far completely agrees that this is truly a global alliance, and that there's so much to learn between countries in different parts of the world. There are countries in Asia that are just beginning to develop new schools of social work and looking at curriculum, for example, and they can learn from other countries in their region, but also in other countries in Africa. At the same time, there are social work associations, for example, in Indonesia that are developing accreditation and, or I should say, licensing and registration systems that other countries and other parts of the world can learn from. So it is really important to have participation and engagement from around the world, so that there's just a lot more ideas and innovative practices out there that we can all learn from. And we are offering this webinar again at 9 p.m. New York, DC time, so that it will be kind of morning time, work time during the day in different countries in Asia, and the hopes to reach out more to that area, that part of the world. And we'll continue to find ways to reach people in different countries. And again, this is a platform for all of you. So as you have ideas of ways to engage more people, or if you know of promising practices in different countries that need to be highlighted, this is the platform to do that. So we encourage everyone to share information, share connections, and really network with one another.
Thank you, Amy. Moving to another question from Shannon Thompson. It says, one of the most challenging aspects of supporting the workforce is financial compensation and recognition of unpaid workers and volunteers. How does the Alliance hope to engage with this issue, particularly given the constrained resource context? Again, really key questions, and I think just a quick word from me, and then Amy might want to say a few words. The third point that Amy raised about ways to get involved with the Alliance and also one of its basic aims is around advocacy. And this would be advocacy for such key issues as just the one that Shannon was talking about in here. That is getting more kind of financial support for the workforce in general, and supporting and advocating for increased either compensation or incentives for a variety of workers, including those that are working at the community level and maybe unpaid or volunteers, and also advocating for the recognitions of the important role that various kinds of workers play at different levels in supporting really high quality services. So that's one response to it. Amy, do you have anything else you want to add?
I think I would just echo what you said, that again, part of the envisioned role of this alliance is that by working together and bringing some clarity of who this workforce is and emphasizing together the important role of this workforce, that together we will have a louder voice to advocate for why there needs to be more funding put towards these initiatives and the work that, that people are doing in the social service workforce. So I think a lot of times there's just a lack of evidence on the value added of this workforce because it is so diverse and not necessarily well understood. And so the more that all of us can come together and help build that evidence base and help to create those very clear messages of why the work that all of you are doing is so important, the better case we can make for increased attention and financial support.
Again, just a reminder about how active the chat window is in this webinar, and how much information is being changed between and among various people that are already signed in. This is terrific. And probably along those lines, it said, will the Alliance create a compilation of the ideas that came out of these two meetings? Amy?
Definitely. This is the purpose that we serve is definitely to try to synthesize all of the information that will come from all of our members, and as we mentioned earlier, see what kind of common threads there are that all of you are bringing up, and create interest groups around this. You know, community workers are such a key theme, and looking at what kinds of themes come out of this as we move forward. And also, as I mentioned, when you do fill out the registration form to become members, we'll really be taking a close look at that. There's a box that asks about what your main areas of interest are, and we'll be looking at those as well. So definitely keep sending your ideas. We've emphasized in different parts, and I think it comes up on the next slide too, the email address where you can send more of your ideas, and we will hope to compile all of these.
Thank you, Amy. Sonia Hoffman asked a really good question. Do you plan to have a presentation by community-based organizations, by or about community-based organizations, a sharing of best practice tools, and so on? Said great webinar series. Maury Mendenhall, who's one of the steering committee members, in fact answered it in a great and concise way. What a great topic for a webinar. And this would be a great issue to explore further together. And again, I think echoing what Amy has said and what Maury just added to, this is exactly what we are hoping to provoke and stimulate, is these kinds of ideas. And we do and have sponsored webinars every 2 months and plan to continue doing that in the future. And this particular one around community-based organizations could be one of the upcoming webinars. We'll just need to have that kind of discussion and see you know, how best to organize it and who could be involved, and this is a terrific topic. Let me go on to okay. Another question from Zenny, who's also a steering committee member, Zenny Thambadu. do you not think that training should lead to career pathing and developing of distinct workers and professionals in the welfare sector? So a question that I will hand off to Amy.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I guess part of the answer to this brings us back to the model that was used for the Cape Town conference of planning, developing, and supporting the workforce, which is on the website, and I hope you'll all take a look at, since it has been a little bit of time since the conference has passed. But it does emphasize, as Zenny has said, who is the vice chairperson of our steering committee of the Alliance, it's an important issue, and looking at training workers so that there is a stronger career path, and also that leads to better supervision of workers as well. So that is a very important part of that model of strengthening the social service workforce, and it is one of the key themes that we hope to bring some of you together around to really look at how we can move that forward.
Okay, I think we are nearing the end of our time, but I do want to reiterate a couple things. One, thanks to all of you who are posting different pieces of information and exchanging information about things. And I did notice, for example, that Sarah Johnson just shared a very helpful description of ovcsupport.net. And there are others with specific programs and ways to co-host, or they're talking about co-hosted conferences. So there is a lot of information already being exchanged here, and we will, in fact, this will be recorded, being recorded. You can get this later, and we'll be perhaps highlighting some of the elements that were shared and go on to that and share that later. So with having said that, I would like to then thank everybody for their participation and their questions, and you can continue typing, but we're going to hand this over to Amuru, who will provide some final thoughts and close the webinar. Amuru, are you there?
Yes, sorry. I was actually talking with my microphone off. Sorry. So I'm now back on. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. And thanks very much to all of you for joining us, and for all the comments and the questions and the interest. I think this is terrific. We're really excited about the launch of this important movement. It's your movement, it's your platform, and we really encourage you to register, become a member, and become an active participant, basically. Let me just wrap up with a few comments. I think Jim sort of moderated that question and answer session very well, and lots of interesting issues came up. But I think by and large, clearly we are talking about a complex social service system with several key building blocks. And the workforce is a vital pillar. One of those key building blocks is the workforce. And the needs of orphans and vulnerable children, or families and communities that are in difficult circumstances, are multiple and complex. And I think you need a functioning workforce to be able to respond to all those needs. And that's really the essence, or the thinking behind the establishment of this alliance. Because a functioning social service workforce, as we all know, can provide a wide array of services that will eventually contribute to a vital safety net for children and families and people who are in distress. And when these workforce operate effectively, families and children have access to a scope of high-quality services that ensure their welfare and protection. And here, when we talk about welfare, we are talking about alleviating poverty, issues around social protection, and household, as well as other economic stuff, empowering strategies, and facilitating access to essential services such as health, education, and legal services for these vulnerable populations. So our message is very simple. Let's join hands. Let's support this alliance. Let's stay connected and transform lives. Finally, with those few remarks, I would like to invite you to stay online for a couple of minutes to see the video with all the quotes from some of the people who are supporting this alliance. And also at the background we'll also have some music. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working together to move this work forward. Thank you.